Hey everybody, what's going on? Emo Tempest here, and I am joined by top 32 finisher Anthony, one of the Texas locals. He had the pleasure of whooping my butt in round 6, and I had to bring you his cadet deck. He's, I think, the bravest man in the room for sure, bringing his deck.
I'd like to think so.
But Anthony, congratulations, first of all, on making day 2, and unfortunately your day did end right now, but please share this list with us and tell us why you brought it.
So I played Wind Lightning Cadets. The main reason I played this over Tricolor is I think it's a little bit more consistent. It doesn't have some of the extra search power like the backup EX Deuce, and it doesn't have as much of the aggression as Fire can give. But I think that it has enough recursion and enough synergy together where it actually makes it worth playing as just a dual cost. So to get into the deck, play 3 Ace. He's kind of the heart and soul of the deck. You can constantly draw cards off him, and you're constantly getting advantage, especially being able to play him. And with the 7 backup, you can make him swing in the same turn, and you're drawing 2 cards. So he's essentially free, unit neutral with him, and you increase your tempo very quickly. From there, play 3 Jack. It's a great EX, even if you're only getting the dull off if you don't have the 5 cadet requirement. And it's nice to be able to be on 5 backups, which you want to do consistently, and know that even if your opponent is able to take out the cadet that you're playing, you're guaranteeing the break, which is a big deal because this deck has a lot of instant breaks, and he just helps facilitate that along with a good special. After that, I've got 3-8. A lot of the really good cadets are played as a 3 of just for consistency. He's like a Stinian, except you have to do damage in order to get his trigger to get something back. But even playing him early game, even let's say you see no backups, you can immediately just drop him, swing. You're already ahead on damage, and then you're getting something back. So it's like you played a 1-drop. It's just very good. After that, there's 3 Sice. This card is incredibly good because you can only play her. You can play her as a 1-drop, and a lot of the times she's good at mot bait because you're committing very low to the board or very little to the board in terms of you're just tapping a backup for her, and because you can break anything equal to the cost of the cadets that you have or less, you attempt to break something, especially like in a Refia matchup, you just go, okay, I'm going to break Refia, they're going to mod it, that's fine. A lot of times you'll have the second one in hand, and you can immediately just do it again. They're wasting so much CP and resources for something you're playing for 1, which is phenomenal, I think. And then 3 Queen. This card I think is the best utility card in the deck. The constant restanding of your backups is able to give you more of an edge on tempo. You can kind of combo off a little harder, and it definitely helps with needing to some of the cadet backup specials or action abilities, which there are quite a lot of in the deck. And being able to remove things from the break zone is great access to have when we're not in Earth, we don't have Nest Dragon, but being able to pitch a win card from hand or just pay the cost off 2 backups, you're able to remove key targets from the break zone. Like if you only need to remove Rams and Corilla in a night matchup, and that may be all you need, and you just have it off of a single card, you can do it every turn, as many times. Then we have 3 Cater, just for extra draw. Cater comes up a lot just early game, just as a body, you just get the free draw, recycles itself, and it's just solid overall. And then I play 2 Snakebite 7s. The one that cancels an auto ability or a special. I hardly ever hard play the card, but it can come up sometimes, but the 7 backup is a lot better, so it's just extra names for it. And then I've got 2 Machina. Machina is just good as a cheap rush target, and it can be Brynhildred because if you have a single cadet backup and Machina, you'll meet the 2 requirement, and then you just get the buff, you get the Brynhildred protection essentially, so they can't get rid of it, and you just get the free hasten. So it can be very sneaky, which is nice. Then we play 3 Cloud. Cloud is arguably the best card in the deck as far as the forwards go. I try to play him every game because he comes up in almost every single matchup, and even if you're only getting one of the 2 breaks from him, you're still ahead with, a lot of times I'll play him for 4, sometimes even for 2, and you're dropping a 9k body, which is very hard to deal with. And he's also searchable, which we'll get to in a minute. Then I've got 2 Golbez. I absolutely love this card. So many cards on the deck are 2-drops, especially the backups. All of your 7s are 2-drops. 7 is the best cadet, and you can search things like Ixion, you can search things like other names you need, and you can even protect yourself by constantly keeping a 7 backup up, and even if you don't have the special in hand, you can hit this in damage, search for what you need, and then special immediately to destroy something on board before you take an extra point of damage to get rid of another forward. And then I played the Goddess. I cut one of the Golbezes because I was at 3, but it seemed a little clunky. I think the Goddess is just great break zone removal. Nest Dragon is so necessary in the meta, and not having access to it, being out of color, means that I needed more break zone hate, where Queen can only get rid of 2 things. The Goddess is not only board wipe, but also just more break zone hate, which you kind of need. So that's it for the forwards.
Would you consider running more Goddesses, or did it? How often did it come in play this weekend?
It came up a couple times. I think 1 is enough, especially because it is a higher cost card, and you benefit from gaining advantage off playing a lot of cheap value cards. So you try to maintain hand advantage to where if your board gets wiped, you're totally fine with, I have 3 forwards, they Shantou to me, perfectly fine. I'm going to rebuild faster than you're going to rebuild from losing all that CP. And I think that's where the deck shines, and that's why the win cards are so good. This is the best cadet. 7 lets me kill anything equal to the cost of the number of cadets that I have or less, and I can sneak in lethal or sneak in extra damage very, very easily with it because of being able to dull 2 of any cadet to give something else haste, kind of like with the ace play. Then play 3 Rems. The forward Rem, I tried playing 3 of her. She was good, and then every time she would get a modded, I would be paying like 7, and I was going so far behind on card advantage from that. I just wanted the backup for the consistency. I wanted the extra EX. I have about 20 EXs in the deck, so just having this as an extra point of recursion, especially to see early on, is very good. And then for the exact same reason, we play 3 Trey. So having the recursion in both elements, I think, is very important and very strong. Plus him having a special to do 9k to something and not having to break himself is also kind of insane, honestly. After that, there's 2 Sync. I didn't want to play more of her because she's a great card, but 2 seemed like enough. I didn't want it to be clunky. And she's also a breakable backup, which can be good because of the 6 names that you run. Sometimes if you're on Rem early, Rem's the one you don't actually want to have on the board. You want to have the other 5 because they all actually do something aside from her. So Sync being able to break herself is great. And being able to combo out into revive something else is also, it feels good where you can pitch cards from hand and know that I can get this back at any point in the game, essentially. Then I'm on 2 Deuce, mostly 2 because of the special. If it ever comes up, it rarely does, but I'm on a 2-1 ratio where I was on like 2-2 before or like 2-1, and then I figured the special may come up more, and the 9 is good, and that helps me trade up, especially if I'm playing with ace, because I have the ability to discard and pump him even higher if I need to. But I figured that it was just better to do a 2-1 as far as those go. So that is the backup line.
Did you, when you were playing this before, how often did you go back and forth on that Rem and the new legendary Rem?
Quite a bit, honestly. I started with the backup because is what I was more familiar with, and then I went to the forward thinking, okay, it's like Rahatia, and then I realized I'm paying 7 because I want to get out ace or I want to get out jack, and it felt really good. Like when you go off with it, it's great. You go Rem into Sync backup, into Revive Trey, into getting a card back, and that feels amazing. But then you go Rem into I pay 2 cards out of my hand, she gets negated somehow, and now I'm super far behind. And you're constantly trying to increase momentum, and it's like kind of like a domino effect with the way you have to play the deck. So that it felt better to have the consistency of the backup, especially being an EX, and it helped me kind of tweak the ratios of the wind versus lightning backups because I had less wind before. And not having access to wind backups hurts a lot more than not having access to lightning, it feels like.
Understood. Okay.
And then for the summons, playing 6 of the Great Odins.
Yeah.
They're just not really much need to be said. They're just very good cards. And then the part about my summon ratio, which is a little odd, is I'm not playing Ixion, which I do believe is a mistake. I should have been on at least 1 copy of it. I did want to try out these because the combo potential for the Asura with grabbing back 7 specials or restanding my board in order to make a bigger board to present a bigger threat against matchups that don't have board wipes was a little too enticing. And so I liked it in testing. I thought it was good. I probably would still cut it for Ixion. Alexander actually really liked. The card came up a lot during the weekend. I didn't really play against many monsters, but it does come up when you need to hit the key monsters, like if you need to break it in every Atomos. If you need to break something like break a Marlboro to force the interaction so that they don't have the agency of when they want to get rid of it. And also just being able to take out a lot of higher drop cards and having access to, like, even if you don't have, there's less win forwards on the deck than there are lightning, but if I want to play a cheap Zidane LB or something, I can do that, play Alexander, and then just get rid of a problem. So it kills Tyvis, it kills Cloud, kills the demon, I think it hits enough cards to where it's warranted to play it.
So if you had to decide right now, where would you make the space for the Ixion then, since you...
The Asura.
The Asura is the only one?
The Asura would be the first thing to go. I like having a high EX count. I would keep the 6 Odins. If I really needed to play the second Ixion, which is definitely an option, I would consider cutting the Alexander or potentially a copy of 8, which may sound weird because he gets things back, but he's 7k and he doesn't get the buff till damage 3, and you have to actually do the damage in order to get it back, as opposed to like a sit-in, you just swing, and on the attack declaration you get the effect. So he's easier to interact with, he's easier to stop, and even if he dies to an EX, you still get it. But he's a little less, he's more fragile than he reads in play.
Yeah, I understand. And yeah, LBs?
LBs. So I've got my LB1s. I have Zidane and Gilgamesh. Zidane comes up a lot. So my game plan is usually 2 LB2s, 1 LB1. And the LB1 is always Zidane. I usually get rid of Gilgamesh first to pay. He comes up in very few matchups, but against like Mono Earth or Knights, I will save him. So I think he's definitely an include. He's just low on the priority list to play. LB2s, I've got the Emperor, Aerith, and 2 Clouds. I'm on a Lightning deck, 2 Clouds is mandatory. The Emperor right now, if you're in Wind, is mandatory. And I think the Aerith is such an insane card to, at any point in time, be like, I can play this, search Cloud, search Wind, Lightning, Cloud, and pay 4 CP to play it out.
More or less, right, yeah.
And I have 2 bodies, and I get rid of 2 cards. And on top of that, I have the Cloud Special is actually very, very live in this deck.
Yeah.
I've double Cloud Specialed in a game before.
Wow.
And like, because you have enough Lightning CP to do it, you can, even if you're gonna burn your LB deck, you can also just go break something with this, play her, search another Cloud, and just hold it as a threat. And then if they get rid of this Cloud, that's fine, because now you get your other Cloud for 2 more breaks. So it's just a consistent pressure. And if you have 2 win cards in hand, you can play her and play Cloud, essentially at any point. So that's my favorite combo in the deck, more or less. And then the higher LBs, I've got Edge and Sephiroth. Edge is a bad card overall, but he actually comes up in this deck because you're maintaining a board of Ace plus maybe you have a Jack or a Sice. You can give them haste at any point with 7, and you get usually 2 to 3 swings with the Edge effect applied. So I've actually cleared boards before just being able to play him out, knowing that he's not going to do anything else, or I'll hardly ever actually use him. But if you want to commit to the LB3, this is a deck that actually gets functionality out of him, which I think is impressive. And then Sephiroth is just a good card. Warriors of Darkness yesterday, that was my only out to X-Death with the hand that I had. Because X-Death was 10k, I didn't have any way to clear it, my board had already been LB Shantoto'd, and so I just paid 2 backups, dropped my hand, played him, and that literally just won me the game. So I think he's a must include in Lightning, even if he doesn't get played, because of the option of having to have him that could actually seal the game for you.
Okay.
So,
well, thank you so much, Anthony. I appreciate your time, bud. Anybody want to give a shout out to for this weekend?
shout out to LSPB. This is my local store, and we usually get like 20 plus players here. It's a great community. They've helped foster my growth as a player, which I very much appreciate. Definitely shout outs to Lisa, our community leader, who basically runs essentially everything here, and helps kind of bridge the communities between different parts of the country for the Final Fantasy game, which is amazing. And then just shout out to all my practice partners, Tien, Zeph, Bo, Leon. I very much do appreciate them. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. Cheers, man. Thanks. And again, congratulations, man.
Appreciate it.